guy alone inside. He's got the breakaway with the touch to the right. Goal! Everything you wanted from this debut. It's Brandon By. Taking a shot with the left. Goal! Isaac Frank from 25 yards out. The equalizer. Will Kidd with the touch of the goal. It's a go-ahead goal. Minneapolis City.
This is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by Summit Brewing Company.
Murder bus. Murder bus. Murder bus. Hello again, City fans. This is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club. I'm your host, John, and that is the beautiful stick of dynamite that is Mr. Nathan Morales. Nate, we got ourselves our first league victory. Do we have that? Do you have that feeling like a little lightning hit the bolt hit the tip of your penis?
Well, I mean, it feels good to start winning again. I don't know what that feels like. I've never been struck by lightning, John. No, much less in a very inappropriate place.
Just a little tingle. You know, something to get the blood flowing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Okay, good. So
I think I feel something.
As long as you feel something, that's good. If not, you might want to see a doctor. So, with the season off and running, we've got some solid analysis coming your way today, soccer fans. The naughty nurses from Med City came to town and we sent them packing. Our recap of the game runs deep, so be prepared. We were supposed to play the TwinStars Wednesday night. A lot of people are wondering what happened, and we will be here to tell you what we know. And Saturday is another big match with another top contender in our division coming to town. We will preview our upcoming game against the Dakota Fancy Bus. Nate, how about we get after it and make some dreams come true? What do you think?
Yeah, man. So, John, we got to be a part of Minneapolis City history once again as we broke in our new home stadium in Osseo on Saturday. Did you get a whiff of that new stadium smell?
I did, and it smelled like some sweet 3 points is what it smelled like. But it marks only the second time in city history where we won our home opener, with the first being against the Croatians in our first season. So it was a good feeling, really good feeling.
Absolutely. So, starting lineup for Minneapolis City, if you weren't glued to Twitter or if you didn't come to the game, in goal again, we had James Nair, Mark Haight on the left side of the defensive line, AO next to him as a center back, which is an interesting choice. We'll talk about that in a second. Max Kent and Charlie Adams rounding out the back line on the right back. And then we had two deeper set midfielders in Martin Brown Jr. and Max Stiegwart with his return to Minneapolis City. Ben Wexler at the 10. And then you had Whitney, Goose, and Brandon McGarity. Whitney and Goose on the wings, McGarity up top. It was a very, very exciting lineup. On the bench, Matt Elder, Trey Benhart, Nick Hutton, Will Kidd, U23 call-up Matt Murakami, Miles Norville, and Timmy Wills. It's good to have a few more options out there that day, John.
Yeah, Nate, it was good. It showed that perhaps a different result would have come home with us from South Dakota if we would have had a few of these pieces of the puzzle available like we did in our home opener. But it is what it is. And it was also, like you mentioned, it was good to see another U23 player putting in the work during the week and then getting a call-up and actually, seeing minutes again. So very valuable for those U23ers listening that you put the work in and you get rewarded.
Work. So Med City lined up in their vaunted new 3-5-2, which caused us problems early. The idea, of course, is to use the athleticism of their wingbacks to overload that attacking third and punish us anytime that our own fullbacks were caught out of place. And caught out of place they were. At 7 minutes into the game, really, really quickly, Charlie Adams was caught too far forward, and Midhat Mujic dribbled down the line with only Goose to beat, and defense is not Goose's strong suit, and Mujic got off an easy cross that found the new Med City striker Claudio Repetto for an early goal. It was a little disheartening and a little scary.
Well, first off, how well can that guy Rapido strike a ball?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't hit the target a lot, but man, can that guy put his laces through a soccer ball? I think your analysis is pretty correct that Charlie got a little too far forward, and I think basically the breakdown came from the fact that we lost the ball in the center of the field in a bad spot.
Yep.
And that is something that has plagued us too often, actually, whether it was last season or, some of the tune-ups we had coming into this year. But again, you don't want to shoulder the whole responsibility on Charlie because he was just trying to step into some space, and Mito Mujic just got around him, and like you said, Goose had to track back. But I actually, when I watched the game again, and then I watched the breakdown of what Adam kind of broke some stuff down and kind of drew up some situational things that we wanted to look at regarding the match. And one of the things I saw was the only reason why Repetto got available, back behind our center backs was because of kind of two things. One was the fact that on the opposite side of the field, Whitney had not tracked back, and Mark Haight was then caught in between guarding two guys. And obviously, you want him to take the guy that's closest to the goal, but it's kind of a bang bang play that happened so fast. So that was kind of 1A, and 1B was something that I talked with Max Kent about, was that if you go back and look at the highlights, he's tracking back to goal with his chest facing the net, and what he really needs to be doing is opening his body up and backpedaling at that point so that he can see what's in front of him. If he did that, then he would have been able to be able to judge the cross coming in and then be able to clear it out. So it was kind of like a comedy of errors, kind of all thrown into one, that kind of materialized from a slow start that we had, and then their ability to attack from the wings.
Yeah, and just 4 minutes later, at 11 minutes, the Medics almost got another one when Repetto was one-on-one with James, and he put in a good challenge, deflected his shot, but like you said, Repetto's can really, put the laces through the thing, so it was good to see that, that was a definitely terrifying moment, another one that James was able to deflect. But minutes later, another near nightmare as James came out a little too far for a challenge, and he straight up missed the dude. But
he totally missed.
But he was saved by probably the worst cross I've ever seen, which and I think there's definitely some FIFA syndrome there. Like, the dude had too many options, and he just short-circuited. Like, are you ever just one-on-one in FIFA on a fast break, and you're like, finesse shot, low shot,
too many,
and you just sky the damn thing.
Yeah, or you're just like completely, or you hit pass instead of shoot.
Yeah.
I have seen it happen many times, but I think it was kind of a case of the run that the attacker made was like a 35-yard run. Like, the guy came real deep to go get the ball, and I think he just kind of ran out of gas once it got to his feet, and then things didn't compute with what he wanted to do. But it could have been a very scary.
Compute.
Yeah, it could have been a very scary situation for us. If we would have gone down 2-0 at that point, within their formation, I know for a fact that they probably would have adjusted to defend the lead more and go away from that 3-back line, and we could have been in some real big trouble.
Yeah. So in the early part of the game, after a little bit of luck, our entire offense seemed to go through Whitney, and we'll come back to that in a bit. But that resulted in, going through Whitney resulted in a few missed shots from Goose, but in the end, it was Brandon McGarity who knotted us up in the 25th minute. He gets a goal off the Charlie Adams throw-in. Like, I had forgotten that Charlie was so good at throwing in that ball. He doesn't quite have the long throw that you expect, but he put the ball right into Brandon McGarity's chest, who was able to control it, turn, and fire, and in it went. Couldn't believe it.
Well, I think the turn is the key point there. Like,
yep.
He was able to wheel his defender to a point where, I mean, he didn't necessarily tuck it home very clean. The goalie got his hand. He hit it right at the goalie, but he hit it so goddamn hard that from a close range that as long as it was on frame, it was definitely going in.
Yeah, and at 39, at 39th minute, another goal in almost the exact same way with the Charlie Adams throw-in right to Brandon McGarity. He does the same thing where he turns around, but it's he just misses. That would have been truly amazing, and it looks like we've got a new little trick in our repertoire.
Right, I mean,
the long throw-in from Charlie right to Brandon's feet.
Well, I mean, yeah, it does. A long throw basically is like a set piece. And if you can calculate it correctly, it does work. But I think for both of these opportunities, I think they came from McGarity turning something into an opportunity.
Yeah.
And that's something that we just didn't have last year.
Yep. A couple minutes later, Brandon, still looking quite studly, fends off three defenders.
With his tucked-in shirt.
Yep, as he rips through the back line, fending off 3 defenders, keeping possession, and forcing the keeper into making what was an amazing save with his face. Definitely should have been 2-1 going into the half. It's something that Brandon mentioned after the game, that's the... he should have had a hat trick. The keeper came up big on that one. But all of a sudden, halftime, it's 1-1.
So that play in particular is one very close to my heart, Nate. It came from a 30-yard ball over the top that was inch perfect from Mark Haight after a great run by McGarity. And not just the fact that it was a nice dime ball that he played in, but it was a type of effort from the run that McGarity made, kind of lulling the defenders to sleep like he wasn't going to be going after it, and then splitting the center backs to get into that space. And it's the willingness to try that we just didn't have up top last year. We didn't have the guy who was constantly trying to push the back line, whether it was with the ball or without the ball. And this was a off-the-ball run that caught all of them by surprise. And like you said, really should have been 2-1 going into the half.
Yeah, so Brandon wasn't the only benefactor of those long balls in the first half. Last week you talked about Whitney being 100% this year and just ready to ball. And we saw that Saturday as the offense pretty much flowed through him, like I said, whether it was off of those long balls from the back line or even one-on-one. So early on, he was getting service from the Maxes, from AO, from Mark, as he found that space behind the advanced wingback and would run right around those center backs. And later in the half, he was doing it alone. He's ripping off tasty step-overs that forced the keeper to dive low into the left, barely getting a finger on it. Like, how hungry does Whitney look this season?
I think before we talk about his hunger, what I didn't note, I knew that he and Mark went to Osseo High School, but there is a plaque outside of the locker rooms that Whitney was on the state championship 4x400 relay team in 2003. So that's something that I didn't know.
So he's been fast.
Yeah, so he's always been fast. But as you mentioned, I talked about it last week. Whitney really should have probably shut it down in the first part of the season last year because he just was not right and he was just constantly forcing it. But what you're seeing out of Whitney this year is 1, he's healthy, 2, he's in shape, and 3, the chances that were created for him are not different than they were last year. It's just that last year they were ending up in the parking lot because he was favoring his ankle and he was constantly thinking about it whenever he was trying to shoot. Where now it's narrow misses and it's only going to be a time until he's tucking those home, and then the league really needs to watch out because when Whitney's in form, as we saw in our Open Cup game, you can't really stop the guy. So I just hope that as we move into the Dakota game, that he makes that next step forward and they're in the back of the net.
Yeah, we haven't seen Juan Luis play at all, but of course Adam Pribble is super excited for him. It sounds like we have suddenly on this team a glut of attacking options moving into this season, so that's pretty exciting.
We still have Tommy Katsianis coming back too.
Yeah.
He's a natural number 10 who can score from the midfield. And, there's also guys on the U23 team that are pushing for minutes too. So you're right. Our coffers are stocked full with attacking options.
Yes. So the second half started strong with another McGarity goal in the 52nd minute. If they can score 7 minutes into the half, so can we, damn it. We ripped it. He ripped it from like 20 yards out. Keeper dove to his left. It was just too powerful, skipped right into the net. If we weren't thinking it in the first half, right about then was when the fans started figuring out that McGarity is the real deal.
So that goal was really interesting. You can go back and look at the highlights, but where the breakdown happened for Med City was the fact that the goalkeeper was actually barking out instructions for his center backs to collapse in because McGarity had turned and he was going towards goal. But if you look at it, as soon as he makes the turn, the goalie is on his far post, and when McGarity looks up and sees on the near post that all he had to do was just put it on target towards that near post, and it was definitely going in. And that's why the shot didn't look like a laser or anything like that. It was kind of a dribbler. It bounced a few times before it went in, but the goalie just didn't have enough time to recover. And then by the time he got there, I think he thought it was going wide, and then it just went in the back of the net.
That's what it looked like, is he kind of gave up on it, and nope. And it went.
Right. Well, we talked about our strikers last season when we recapped at the end of the summer, and what we lacked was that guy who really has that nose for scoring a goal. And, with Connor, last season we had the kind of big guy who could be a target, who had the mobility to make the runs. We had Miles, who was the guy who could kind of beat you off the dribble. And then we had Timmy doing Timmy things where he's more about finding the pockets of space and being the right place at the right time. But with Brandon, I mean, we really do have something special because he can really create something out of nothing, and it showed.
Yeah. But unlike Andrew Garfield in Hacksaw Ridge, these medics were not pacifists, John, and they struck back quickly with a headed shot from the big Greek, Nick Itopoulos, that had just enough height to clear James's outstretched hands. Just popped it right over the top of him, which is kind of a rarity for a big guy like James. But not content with another draw, we kept that pedal down. So at 63 minutes, right after receiving a yellow, Whitney responded, sped down the field, beat 3 guys, and he pulled a shot across the face of the goal just right. Just to the right.
I thought that was going in. I mean, I really did.
Oh, that looked really nice. And it's just, again, another example from the game that even late into the game, the guy's got gas and he can just beat, especially with, when you're only beating center backs, basically, by the time you get to that level of the field, he was able to really just scorch them. But that pressure down the wings paid off soon. We caught a medic, whether he was out of position or just too slow to react, and a cross hit him right in the hands. And right. So that's, of course, a PK, and Martin puts it away. I was a little surprised at how simple Martin's penalty shot was. It was basically on the ground right down the middle. But somehow it went in. Somehow the guy didn't go even in the right direction. So that's good.
So,
go ahead.
With that, on the penalty, part of me wishes you kind of give McGarity the chance of the hat trick, right?
Yeah.
But knowing him, he was so amped up at halftime when I went over to I talked to you in the booth real quick, and then I quickly ran down and wanted to just say hi to the guys and kind of get them going for the second half. And he was just chomping at the bit to get back on the field. So I think he was maybe a little too amped up, but it would have been great to see him get a hat trick in his first game with us.
Absolutely. Of course, this is the point in the game when City fans get nervous. Talk to me, John, about the team's ability to not only kill the game this time, but to stay dangerous throughout the final 20 minutes.
I think it's a couple things. I think the first thing is that I really do like the way Med City plays, and I think that out of a lot of the other teams in our conference, they play a style of soccer more similar to us, where it's not always straightforward. They look to find the dangerous spots on the field and then attack as those present themselves. But what they were doing in this game was everything was coming down the left side of the field. So simple adjustments at halftime to be aware of that and to shift the team over was something that our center backs that did really well. And then all of the attack that came from them in the dying minutes was then having to be forced through the middle, and we were gumming that up as well. So I think that it was very, very much so a case of they just kept going back to the what worked in the first half, and then they didn't adjust out of it. And then for us, we were still able to kind of defend as a unit and then quickly attack as a unit. And that's why you didn't see a lot of one-on-one breakaways when we would break the lines when they were pressing for that goal. We saw 2 and 3 and 4 Minneapolis City players in advanced positions and trying to push for that nail in the coffin. So I think we weathered the storm, but we also did it our way, which is something we've worked on in practice, it was great to see it kind of translate over.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the other thing to think about too was that the adjustments that Coach Pripple made were spot on. You hate to see a guy like Mark land hard on the turf and then you have to move AO out there, but you saw the inclusion of a guy like Trey, who maybe would have been in the starting lineup, but he had some conflicts getting to the game, so you can't insert him into the starting lineup. But having the luxury to bring a guy like that in to kill out a game is something that other teams don't have. Yeah. And I think that coupled with bringing in Tim Wills to just do Tim Wills, lunch pail type things and just chase guys down, win tackles, pass the ball, hold up play.
Well, not only that, but he was putting pressure on their back line when they're just trying to start the build up a play. He's back there stealing the ball from the center back and finding some space for himself and looking dangerous with 5 minutes of the game left. It was amazing.
Right, and then having the ability to bring in a guy like Will Kidd, who's just got like Labrador Retriever type energy in the middle of the field in the second half to replace Wexler is a different thing that they weren't prepared for. And then removing Martin and bringing in U23 call-up Matt Murakami, who's more of a defensive center midfielder, to kind of play alongside of Max Stigward, who we haven't mentioned yet, who I thought had maybe the best game out of all of our players outside of Brandon.
Yeah.
And maybe James, to sit him next to Max it just kills the game, and we weathered all of their opportunities that they had, and there were a couple dicey moments there at the end. I feel like they had too many corner kicks, and that's something we need to work on. But outside of that, it was good. Crows win. We rule. 3 points, and we are sitting joint at the top of the table,
which feels good. Second on goal differential, but what do you do when Sioux Falls gets Eris right after us?
Right, exactly.
So, John, each of us got a chance to talk to a couple players right after the game, and then you caught up with a couple at practice. First, of course, is Brandon McGarity. Let's hear what he had to say about the game.
All right, so I am here with Brandon McGarity. Brandon, a brace in your home debut. Obviously, something that's got to be good. You powered through defenders, force a couple in. What's it like to score your first 2 goals in front of the home crowd?
It's a fun feeling. I mean, we just came out here trying to win the game. Probably should have had a third one. It was an easy chance. But no, it's fun. Yeah.
Okay, he did make a pretty good save.
Well, yeah, no, it's a good save. Yeah.
So how did you deal with the 3-man back line? That's kind of something that we've been talking about. Is their formation's a little different this year? They're running more of like a 3-5-2. What kind of challenges did that pose for you?
I mean, they sort of played it funny. They played the 3 in the back and kept it pretty high, so we got behind them a lot. And we're good. I mean, I could check back to the ball and receive it and pull out a center back. And I think I like playing against the 3 in the back. Just one less defender. Yeah.
Nice. So we responded to last week. Obviously not the game that we wanted away at Sioux Falls. It's sort of a weaker team. What was the talk in the locker room like this week? What were you guys talking about in training to kind of get up for a much more challenging team in Med City?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big message is playing with grit and sort of taking pride in the way we play, and really try to come out here early. It's too bad that we let up a goal right away, because that was one of the goals, is to come out strong. But that was a big message: is play hard, and we knew we could. We knew we're a better team than them. We can win this game.
Yeah. So lots of new players on the pitch for us this year, and especially this game. More to come, of course, as people come back from school and get fit. How are you guys seeing everything coming together? How are you seeing the team coming together?
I think it's great to be playing games. It's sort of that's sort of what brings us all together, is this common goal that we have. So it was great to be training in the winter and the early spring, but now the fact that we're playing again, we're coming together as a team, and I can't speak to the players last year, because I don't know too much about who was around, but it seems like we got a lot of great guys, and happy to see what's going forward.
All right, man. Well, we're excited, of course, to see what you can do. 2 goals in your first home game. Let's hope to get a couple more, maybe Wednesday, a couple more Saturday. Yeah. Just keep this train running, huh?
Sounds good to me.
All right, thanks a lot.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks, dude.
It sounded like, John, that Brandon was quite excited to play against that back line of Med City. 3 center backs. He said he could go against that kind of a line all day. Do you feel like it was early in the season? Do you think Med City could have predicted that they would have gotten shredded by a guy so like Brandon, or were they remiss to not plan for it?
Well, the interesting thing is that if you look at where the majority of our chances came from, they came from out wide. And if you see Whitney and Goose lining up, in the 18 that gets sent through the league to each team beforehand, you don't necessarily think a guy like Brandon is going to be the one who's going to do all the damage. You think that it's going to come from the wings, because that's what it came from last year. Yeah. So I don't think that they had they didn't know who he was, because no one in the league until after this week knew who he was. But I think that the adjustment out of that back 3 is something that has to happen, and a coach needs to recognize that if it's not working and that's where the other team's attacking from pretty much all day, wide out because you have 3 slow center backs, and then you have a guy in the middle who's doing all the damage on picking up the pieces. You have to go to a back 4 because you can't jeopardize road points if you can help it. And
Right.
I just think that they should have adjusted out of that way earlier than they. Well, they never did, but they should have.
Yeah, and I think, again, I'm wondering if part of it was, well, this is the system that they've chosen for the season, so let's play it out and see how it works and make adjustments. It's early enough that they can, if they do drop points, which they did, they can make them up. But like you said, it's an easy in-game fix that you could just take the learnings that you had and move on and try it again next week. They just didn't do it. Next up, you talked to Max at training, and so let's take a listen to that.
All right, I'm here at training with Max Stegward. First of all, it's great to have you back, Max. In the team this season, would you say, with you coming into the team earlier and without other commitments like you had kind of the first go-around with us to kind of take you away, did that make it easier to make an immediate impact?
Yeah, meeting a couple guys at first was never really an easy thing to do, but I think with the culture we have here and the training environments we set and the standards we set for ourselves, it makes it that much easier. We all work together, and from I only trained 2 sessions before playing a full game, and I already felt like those guys are my brothers. So it's very easy to adjust and very easy to jump in right away. It's a great time.
So you were able to drop a couple kind of inch-perfect long balls in for Whitney as he was making those kind of diagonal runs. Was taking advantage of that space something that the coaches worked on with you guys beforehand, or was it something that kind of recognized in-game?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Having Whitney, who's a very fast-paced player, it makes it that much easier. He's out wide, and he can dribble guys, and he has a very good touch. So hitting our wings like him or Goose or Will Kidd, whoever's out there, it's kind of something we like to do. If the opportunity's on, but also you kind of have to read the game if the line's high enough. So I think it just depends on the situation of the game.
So a lot of times that space existed because what we saw kind of early was that Med City was kind of throwing their wingers upfield and looking for that dangerous cross. What were you doing to help kind of gum up the middle to stop that build-up for those kind of central connection runs that like that striker Rapido was having?
Yeah, as the game got going, we noticed that they like to work it with their 2-6s, and I think once the game got going, and Martin and Wexler, we noticed that if we were a little more compact and force it out wide, we knew we could take advantage of that space and stick them to one side, and that's repressure right there, and I think we got our chances to win the ball back better over there.
So you're not the biggest dude on the team, but getting up and kind of challenging for those balls in the air was a huge part of your skill set on Saturday. Are you looking forward to kind of contributing to that more physical aspect of play, seeing that our conference is very physical?
Yeah, man, it's something I've worked on in my game, and maybe I'm not the biggest guy, but I've always been told it's the heart of the dog more than the size. So it's just, I think it's a confidence booster, challenging, winning a ball. It gets you going, and it just makes it easier for the next one. I think it's just more of a mindset going in.
All right. Well, so you were gone last year playing in Florida. How good does it feel to be home?
It feels so good, man, to have the home fans, your family, and all your friends watching it. It's a great time.
All right. Awesome.
So I think the first thing that I want to talk about with what Max had to say is the dude loves being home, and I think that his situation where with playing in the PDL last year and closer to school down in Central Florida, it was just hot as shit. Who wants to be in Central Florida in the summer? And he mentioned before when I talked to him that there weren't any fans that came out to the games. There was no atmosphere, and he was away from his family. And I think him being back with us, you can already tell, even in training sessions, like the guy just is buzzing. He's always the last guy in. He's taking extra free kicks, and he's working on shooting and just knocking a ball around while other guys are already gone or are getting their gear off. So it's just good to see that. And I think that coupled with that is he mentioned too, only having 2 training sessions and already feeling part of the brotherhood. He has a familiarity with players from his first year with us, and there's certain guys, like Martin and Whitney that are newer to him. However, you have the guys that are around him like Wexler, and you have Trey, and you have Steve, who's back now, and these guys have played together for a long time, and that's kind of the important piece about having guys from Minnesota playing together. Is that they grew up playing with each other, and it does show. And we can quickly get guys up to speed where teams like Med City at times, saw some guys making passes behind players because they weren't anticipating the runs they were making. So I think we have an advantage there. And then lastly, like Max said, he plays bigger than he is because of his the way he breaks down the game in his mind and his positioning. It's just that you layer on a little bit of grit to that, and his challenges are always on point, and his ability to win the ball in the air. He gets into spots where bigger players might be able to outjump him, but he's there first. So I think that I'm just really excited that Max is back, to be completely honest with you.
I am too. I don't remember a lot about his game when he was with us our first season. He only played in a couple games anyway, but I think this season, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's more into it, he's on fire, and I'm really excited to see what he can do for us.
Yeah, you can tell that he played more in college than he did when he was at Louisville. Because he's just a better soccer player, which he was good when he first came to us, and now he's even better.
Yeah. And finally, you got a chance to talk to Big Game James, who always has something great to say.
Or something not great to say. There's something to say in general.
That's true.
All right, so I'm here with Big Game James at the training session following our game on Saturday. James, you made your first official league start with City. How did it feel?
Felt amazing, man. It's the second time I've been able to play in the MPSL at this level, and it was a heck of a game to get the result at home in front of our fans.
So, what were you seeing? We went down with an early goal. We fought back to kind of tie it up. But what were you seeing from them early on, especially having kind of a strike force up top, where most teams we play usually kind of have a lone striker?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was 12 and 30. Those two guys, they have to be from Spain or Colombia. They were talking Spanish, and they were flying at us, and they were a little bit intimidating. I think we just started a little bit flat, and I think that's something we need to work on as a squad, is just we're mentally prepared, but we just don't really compete as well the first 90 minutes or 10, 15 minutes. And so when they went up one, we readjusted, and then we started playing our game, and I think the game went our way after that.
All right, awesome. So as far as, you've been around Stegman's for a while.
Yeah.
You've been kind of in and out of with City. Kind of what are the differences you're seeing from this season to seasons past?
Well, first off, there's a ton more dudes here. It's awesome being able to have the U23s and a lot of the guys coming back for the NPSL team from seasons previous. We've gotten to know each other a lot over the past 2-3 years, and I think that the guys that have stuck around are really finally kind of gelling together and forming a brotherhood, as Wexler would put it.
So you've been dubbed the Petr Cech of the North. Is it going to stick, or is it something that we're going to have to look for another nickname?
Yeah, well, I think it can stick because if my mom keeps coming to games, I got to keep wearing that helmet, so she's not too scared when I'm out there bashing skulls.
All right, awesome. Thanks a lot, James.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
So, like we noted, always catching up with James is a good thing because, like we said, he always has something to say. But so I have to preface that James is actually leaving at the end of the summer. He's going to optometry school in Chicago. So this is probably his last chance to contribute at the MPSL level before he kind of moves on in life. And we may get the opportunity to see James again in the future, but for the short term, this is really his last chance. And when I talked to him in the beginning of the season in the winter session, we were kind of shaping the roster. I basically talked to him about, like, if you're gonna come in, it's your last shot, man. Just like make it count and really like do all the things that you need to do to win a spot and to play. And he's fit, he's in shape, and he really wants it this year. And he put the work in to earn that starting spot, and we've seen it. He made a couple of fantastic saves in our game against Med City.
Yep.
And the thing that he offers us is the big shot stopper, the guy who can come out and win a ball in the air and maybe punch something out that a shorter goalkeeper might not be able to get to. So it's really great to have him in, and obviously love the helmet. The Petr Cech of the North. I think that
Petr
was
Cech
a great.
of the North.
Yeah, that was a great comment someone had on Twitter about him wearing his helmet. Obviously he has to wear it because of things. Oh, was that you?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I mean, obviously he has to wear the helmet because of something that not so funny and hilarious happened to him. So that part sucks, but it's good to at least have another nickname for him, right?
Mm-hmm. All right, John, so hit me up. Player of the game not named Brandon McGarity.
I think Max Stegward. I think his his passing, his organization, not only personal organization of where he was on the field, but also organizing the guys around him was super. It was next level, and it's something that we expect from a guy like that who has the pedigree that he has, but coming off an ankle injury, hurting himself in our tune-up against Luther, and not being able to go to Sioux Falls, it sucked, and you can see that how valuable he is, and just think about the control we could have if you partner him with a guy like Steve in the center midfield.
Yeah, well, hey, you know what? Don't talk about how valuable. Don't let anyone believe he's too valuable, or Duluth is gonna like rupture his spleen or some shit.
Yeah, like they did with Samo.
Yep.
But you know what I mean? Like I just feel like the game that he played and the shift that he put in against Mid City was definitely on top of the list, for right behind a guy who scored 2 goals in his debut.
I agree. Very impressed with Max. So I don't pick the same player as you. I will say Whitney Brown. I think Whitney did an amazing job. Like you said, he is 100%. He is attacking. He is who he was when we first signed him back at the U.S. Open Cup run of 2016. And he's looking dangerous every time he touches the ball, and I love it.
Yeah, he's a very close second to Max, I would say.
Because he made a lot of space for Brandon as they had to watch him every time he was advanced. All of a sudden, Brandon is sneaking behind and splitting him. So that was great.
Yep, I agree with your pick, Nate.
All in all, I thought this was a gritty performance against a team that everyone has slotted as a top 3 contender this year, and it was a great momentum builder to take us into Wednesday's game against the TwinStars. But funny enough, that game did not happen.
Indeed, Nate, it did not happen, and I was super bummed, man. I went to training on Monday and Tuesday this week, and I drove off some training gear to the college guys that are coming back, and everybody was buzzing on the MPSL team, and as well as the U23s, because they saw quite a few of them came to the game, and they saw the atmosphere, and they saw what is attainable if they put the work in. So everybody was getting ready, and I was like, awesome, like everyone's ready to go. And then the trombone wah played. So there's not a whole lot of news that we really can provide on the topic, but we can break down what we know did happen. So regardless of what transpired, which we'll get into in a bit here, but there's a couple rules that are in place by the league, and one in particular is Rule 1.14 under the cancellation status. So it has two makeups to the rule. The first is that no game may be canceled prior to the scheduled date unless both teams have agreed on a rescheduled playing date, and the regional commissioner has authorized the change. And the second is, if a stadium is closed, and then in parentheses, due to acts of God, the league must receive notice in writing in a statement of closure from the facility owner immediately after the closure.
So, John, real quick, let me make sure that I'm reading this right or hearing you right. That in order for a game to be canceled, both teams must agree on before this game can be canceled. Both teams have to agree on a rescheduled date, and the commissioner has to authorize the change. Right? So
correct.
So that's I think the key is that both teams would have needed to, first of all, it would have needed to be communicated to us. Second of all, we would have needed to agree on a better date, and then the NPSL official in our area would have had to be notified.
Correct.
Okay.
And
gotcha. I think that's important to keep in mind for people.
Do you have any questions about the second part of the rule?
Nope, that makes sense. I mean, the league has to, the stadium must provide the league notice in writing, saying that there's something going on there. If there really are quote technical difficulties, which we'll get to in a second, the stadium would have to provide proof of that.
Right, correct. Okay, so here's why those are important. You touched on it a little bit, but the first word of the game being adjusted was over the PA at the TwinStars game, while we were currently playing Med City in the second half.
That was announced on the Twitter feed of the NPSL representative, or the NPSL journalist that was assigned to that TwinStars game.
Right. So the first news of things that were happening, first news to us and to the world, was that the game was being moved to Prairie Seeds Academy because of technical difficulties with Minnetonka High School. Mm-hmm. So as we know, league rules dictate that both teams were supposed to agree upon the change before in the schedule, including venue adjustments. So even if we were to move, we had not heard about it, and that did not happen. So and also we're in the middle of a match. So to tell people at your own game that things are moving and not telling us first is a little bit odd. The second notice was on Twitter when the team sent out a tweet that read, "Due to technical difficulties, the Wednesday, May 16th NPSL game with Minneapolis City, not even tagging us in it with our hashtag or our Twitter handle, has to be rescheduled to a later date." Again, they did not communicate this to us officially, and I would have to assume that they hadn't really said anything to the league 3 days before the game. So the final thing here is our front offices were contacted 3 days later, 2 days later, Monday, that contact was made, and we did everything that we could to keep the game on the books. And that included offering to switch our home and away legs so we could play at Osseo on Wednesday, and then we'd play at wherever they schedule later on in the season, as well as us doing the due diligence to find 6 venues that were available and MPSL approved in the Twin Cities the TwinStars could have rented. Those options were turned down by the TwinStars without reason.
Yeah, and so it's annoying only because if this were any other team, John, I think if this was VSLT, I would say, God, these guys just don't have their shit together. Like, I went to the VSLT game the other night, and there were like 12 people there, and they didn't even do the starting announcements for their rosters. Like, it's just a team in kind of chaos, but they won because that's what VSLT does, right? But the TwinStars, man, in the past have been a little too shady for me to give the benefit of the doubt to. I think we know that the NPSL Northerner reported last year that he had talked to TwinStars players. TwinStars players had told him that they were allowed to play against Minneapolis City, or there were teammates of theirs that were allowed to play against Minneapolis City that were not allowed to play against other teams due to not having completed their financial obligations or done whatever they had to, paid their fees, done whatever they had to do. So they were basically benched until they could pay those fees until Minneapolis City came around, and then it was anything goes to beat Minneapolis City. I don't know why. I don't know why us and not Sioux Falls. I don't know why you travel to Sioux Falls with 9 men knowing you're going to lose. Seems kind of like a waste of everyone's time.
Right.
When you could have just broken the rules for everyone. Fuck it, right? But anyway,
yeah.
So they have a history of being shady, especially against Minneapolis when it comes to Minneapolis City. The other thing that kind of makes me mad, and why I'm raising my eyebrows here and hoping that justice prevails, John, is that Minneapolis City has been disadvantaged by the letter of the law twice in our history, twice in 2 years. The first, of course, is when we made the switch from the PLA to the NPSL, and because of that we were disqualified, even though it was the same level of the pyramid. Because of that we were disqualified from the U.S. Open Cup, leading to, of course, our #undefeated campaign. The second time, of course, is when we went to Rochester and we were provided completely inadequate facilities to warm up, to change, to get ready, to relax at halftime, whatever. But the letter of the law in the U.S. Open Cup rules stated that really all you need is a goddamn field with four flags and a goal, right? Like you need a field of proper dimension with 4 flags and a goal and some referees, and you can play a U.S. Open Cup qualifying game. So that
and not to even mention, Nate, the fact that they considered Rochester, New York in the Midwest region.
Yeah, part of a region, right?
Right, and we had to go on the road potentially 3 times to qualify.
So that's twice we've been disadvantaged by the rules. And I just need to believe that what goes around comes around. That the rules mean something, especially in United States soccer. And while
especially league play, right?
over and
like,
over again, I feel like I'm proved incorrect in the world. The rules will have to mean something in league play, and I have full faith in the NPSL to make the correct decision and award Minneapolis City 3 points via forfeit.
You would hope that would be the preferred route that we'll go here.
Yeah.
But so at the end of the day, I really don't know what's going on over there, and I'm just really aggravated that if there is something shitty happening under the table, it's just poor play from one of the original clubs in this league, and it's not why we're in this whole thing. We're in it for the game, and the shenanigans aren't really cool to me. Especially because we tried to help the game still happen. And that's probably where it gets me most. Because I know scheduling a field sucks, but, it is what it is. So I will say, though, if this truly was a scheduling conflict and there was a reason to turn away our efforts of finding another location, I will totally take back what I said and give a half a benefit of the doubt back to TwinStars because they still did not follow the rules of the league, which we are all tasked with knowing as organizations. On contacting us ahead of time and being civil about it, where we would have been like, oh yeah, we'll look at rescheduling it. We totally get it. Fields suck. They just didn't follow that. So it's like, what? I don't have a positive to take out of this.
Yeah.
It's only negative speculations.
Well, what? Real quick, John. I think you know what, and I've said it to you, and I think I tweeted this out on some level or another. But like, what really bums me out is that there is enough goodwill in the soccer community around here to go around. That if they really wanted supporters to support them, if they want people to be fans, if they want to have a successful program, it doesn't mean necessarily victories. It can mean like find your niche. Our niche is locally grown players, only from Minnesota, and we're building this like path to pro kind of thing. And whether or not that works out is still to be seen, but it seems to be working pretty well. TwinStars, they've got a narrative baked in, man. Like, you've got a youth academy.
A successful one.
It's right. You've got kids that are playing from 08 out there, 09 probably, all the way up to probably 03s are playing and competing at a pretty high level in the youth auspices around town. All I'm saying is, like, look, if your identity can be, we are the youth academy that gives kids an opportunity to play a high-level soccer when they grow up, that's awesome. Isn't that a great thing to support, especially if you live in the western suburbs? And wouldn't if you were behind that mission, say like, oh, you know what? It's okay if once they get up there, their team isn't the best. Right? So why go through all this? Why do all this shady shit to try to make your team look like the best, to compete at this level when it's proven you can't anyway? It's all for naught. It blows my mind. Like, there is plenty of support for local soccer out there to just be who you are, and people will be happy with it. That's all I have to say. Closed circuit to TwinStars.
So I'll close the loop on this last note. While doing research on our next topic, I found on the league's Wikipedia page, so the NPSL page, that the TwinStars home field is called TwinStar Stadium. So I wonder where that is.
Where is TwinStar Stadium?
We did our show rundown, and I saw that when I was going through the next segment, and I was like, it's only fitting that's a thing. So, anyways, TBD on the outcome of that one.
Yeah.
So, all right. Enough about what didn't happen. Let's talk about what is going to happen. We welcome into our house the megabus that is Dakota Fusion this Saturday at 7 p.m. And for those of you who don't know, they literally have their own megabus with like
decals
TVs and decals and shit. It's a megabus. It is. It's not the megabus that you know around here that goes to Milwaukee and back. It's literally a figurative negative plus.
Okay, but dude, you got to admit, if you lived way up in Fargo where you're going to play soccer in Fargo, that has to be part of the deal. Like, we're going to be driving minimum 3 hours to every game we play
Right.
every away game. Like, we're going to do it in style.
Yeah, we're not taking vans. We're taking a megabus. So a quick recap of the Fusion. Last season, we split wins with the Fusion, each team winning on the road, and in 14 matches, they had 9 wins, 5 losses, and 0 draws, with a goal diff of plus 10, and then ending with 27 points, which is 2 ahead of Minneapolis City for second place and the last playoff spot. Speaking on that, all we needed to do was win. Speaking about the TwinStars, all they needed to do was win against Fusion on the last day of the season to help us, and they could not cobble together a quality side to make that happen. And we saw the Fusion sneak into the playoffs ahead of us, showing how crucial that last-minute draw, our only draw of the season, in our home opener against Duluth really was. So those points came back to bite us in the ass, Nate, from a point perspective, in a tight title race. And then after their season making the playoffs, they flamed out miserably on the road versus Detroit by a score of 5-1.
Who did end up winning the NPSL league last year?
If a tree falls in the forest, you're not there to hear it, Nate.
Fair enough.
Just a Pope shit in the woods.
And the tree falls on the Pope, and then let's move on.
Yeah. So, so far this season, they faced Duluth in the U.S. Open Cup in a game that saw little to no defense, ending in overtime at 4-4, with them missing all of their penalty kicks. And I'm talking not even fucking close.
They
to
were
the goal.
kicking field goals.
Yeah. So tired legs. So that was their first game of the year, and then so far in league play, they have 1 point on a draw with VSLT, where the game ended 2-2. So a quick refresher on them as far as on the field. They play a long ball style that clears the lines in an attempt to find their talisman, Jade Johnson, who was the 2016-2017 MPSL Golden Ball winner, and that's the league player of the year.
That's crazy.
He's a goal-scoring machine with an IT job during the day, and saw him do most of his damage at home last season. He didn't do a lot of traveling due to his day job, but we were the only team that he did not score against. A quick anecdote. So that's good.
In your face.
Yeah, in your face, Golden Ball winner. But the other player to note is the return of who I think is one of the division's best players. That's Isaac Keeson. He's a dynamic winger that has phenomenal 1v1 skills and the same kind of knack that Johnson possesses for goal, but he has yet to feature this season on the team. But outside of those two guys, there's a slew of Belgiulji brothers on the roster. Yes. And there's 8 of them. I don't know. And then a bunch of guys that I don't remember or they're new.
Yeah. So we don't really know yet if Jade Johnson is going to be traveling this year. It feels like, of course, he traveled to Duluth, but that was for the U.S. Open Cup.
Well, and it's a Saturday game, so you'd think.
So he might. Travel. Did we play Dakota on a Wednesday last year here?
We did. Yeah. We did.
So there you go.
Yep.
So you never know. He is dangerous, but even when we played him up in Fargo, we were able to contain him. So hopefully we can have that same kind of luck this time around. Isaac Keeson, on the other hand, he's
good.
Good. He is fast as hell. He is super dangerous on the wing. I would say similar to how Whitney and Goose or Whitney and Will would be able to make space for Brandon McGarity. Isaac Keeson can make space for Jade and vice versa. You can only pay attention to one of them at a time. If you can only pay attention to one of them at a time, you are in trouble.
Yes, you definitely are.
So John, what does City need to do to be successful on this Saturday, beyond paying attention to every single attacking Dakota player?
Well, this is the point in the show where anyone from Dakota needs to turn it off.
Click.
Yeah, but I think
this is why we save it till the end. So by the time that they're just like, oh my god,
yeah,
55 minutes into this fucking shit.
Yeah, these two blowhards. But to your question, Nate, I think it's really quite simple. We need to come out of the gates much faster than we did last week. And we've done that every goddamn game in our entire existence as a club. We just start out slow.
Sleepy.
I know, we just need to figure it out. And it could be a case of us adjusting our warm-up to build an intensity before the match so that we are game ready. But it does have a lot to do with getting some guys back from school this past week and some guys back from injury as well. So
like, adjusting the warm-up to build an intensity, like, the last thing you do is just start punching each other.
Yeah, and playing long ball.
Just slappies and long ball.
But we'll see the return of Ian Smith. He goes by Steve. He's back in.
I've heard of him.
We'll also see the return of AJ Albers from injury. So getting some bolstering in the center of the field that we didn't have, in our last game. But our style of play needs to be elevated at a level which is what we saw in our Saturday game after we were scored on. We need to really attempt to pin back the high line so that we can possess in the Fusion's final third instead of our final third.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to capitalize on our chances. We're this year we are seeing more chances created, which is awesome. But the next step is for us to bury them in the back of the net. And the last thing is, what can McGarity do coming off of being named to the MPSL Team of the Week on the back of his 2-goal debut? Can he do it again, or is he going to be more of a marked man out there now that people know about him?
Yeah. So, John, I've got a couple quick things to talk about. First is they drew against VSLT 2-2. I saw this very same VSLT team on Wednesday night, and they barely beat Sioux Falls 1-0 on a free kick goal. This VSLT team does not look that dangerous offensively, so I have to assume that based on the 6 goals that I've seen scored on them so far this year, I'm talking about Dakota, their defense is looking ragged. We should be able to shred these guys offensively, hopefully, and absorb a couple goals if we have to. But I think that my second point is we have the benefit of quite a bit of tape on these guys, not only from last year but from the U.S. Open Cup and from the style of play that they've brought to the table this year. So I would hope that the team would be ready, and I would hope that the team will be able to, if it gets into a shooting match, outscore these guys because their defense is looking bad.
They're ready, Nate. I can tell you that.
Our team, we are ready.
We are ready.
Nice. So that is all for this week's show. Thank you, as always, to our sponsor, Summit Brewing. There is a new friend in the Summit fleet, folks, and that is the citrusy, zesty Skip Rock. This fresh, fruity white ale is available now on tap and in the Boundary Waters variety box. It's going to be available soon in its own 6 and 12 packs. It's never too late to buy a membership for 2018. For only $65, you get a cool season. That was close.
$20.
Yep. For only $65, you get a cool season pass to all city matches this summer, including the NPSL and U23 games, a classy new membership scarf. Oh man, it looks good. And of course, a vote so that you can have a say in the direction of local soccer. Go on over to mplscitysc.com, our brand new website, and purchase 1 or maybe 5 right now. If giving back to the community is important to you, then maybe it's time to give to the club that gives back. Minneapolis City is a 501c3, providing a safe, reliable, and fun environment for those less fortunate to play the beautiful game. Look for us this summer playing with kids in parks and community centers all around the city. And of course, consider that tax-deductible donation to a true city-focused organization. Mail! Send it to us. You're actually watching games. You have to have questions about what's going on the field. It is easy. Hit us up on Twitter at The People's Pitch or through email at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. All questions, comments, and concerns are welcome. And finally, as always, hit up the club at MPLS on Twitter. That is all for this week. Once again, we're going to leave you with our house MC, Sweden's own Miles Stockman Willis, a.k.a. Malaise, with a track called The Come Up. I am Nate. That is John. Thank you for being the people. Come on out this weekend and cheer on your Crows.
And you get hooked.
Poster burning maple weeds, cradle major keys. Thinking back, I've been major since the minor league. So supreme, too much sauce off my olive NMDs. I could staple steez, bend the goat so I get the cheese. Never fall, rake them leaves and make sure every moment gets seized. And everything I see is make believe. Cuff a bad bitch, make her wipe off Maybelline. She wanna F with me, maybe get close data G. Run up data plans, getting A to B like AT&T. Hate me when she's coming, it's the perfect time for me to leave. Patience then is crave, so I'm craving her creatively. Make her breakfast in bed, then have sex instead. One life, live it up. 175 Grey Goose, treat it like a sippy cup. 105 on the dash, watch me giddy up. Only one on the bench, still press the city up. No stress from the press, it ain't news, I'm getting paper. Ask for the check, first time I see the waiter. Make my own luck, knocking over salt shakers. Every September 4th, should've put in more labor. Yes, flex, get out my lane, we ain't the same. Don't play Red Rover with the train. Lingo rolling off my tongue like a slogan spoken slang. Surely spitting like this token wrote and spoke it in some bangs. I could hang a vampire, highly inspired. Haven't reached this height before, I might get higher. Crew conspires round the campfire, roll until our hands tired. Rap MacGyver saying sapphire, satire. With the swag, attire you admire. So well put together, no assembly required. Newly hired, still this heat so fire that it gets them fired. Fuck boys thinking that they fresh but expired. Everybody's flawed, that's just life's law. Wonder what life will be like when the ice thaw. I'll die any day cause I'm down for the cause. Do it bigger than the Big Bang like my name was Rush. Burning bridges with no gauze. Tell her open up her jaws and feed her nothing but bare claws. All about my dough so she want a nut. Duh, keep my ducks on the row on the pond like what? Getting flocks at each show, giving out goosebumps. Playing with her heart, claim she playing spades. Whenever we apart, her brain ain't the same. Tickle her pussy as I tickle her ear hair. More boss than Ross, never been to a career fair. Blood, sweat, tears dripping off my upper lip. On some shit, krillin', chillin', gripping on destructo disc. Go left, go right in life, maybe eat a Twix. Rapping like a silly rabbit, tripping in the tricks. On the come up. Yeah, boy, this the come up. Whole squad about to motherfucking come up.